Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games, and let's make some games. So, a long time ago now, many years ago, I don't even know when, I want to say it was like 2017, I started to do a series where I just made a game. It was a tower defense game. And I don't really remember why I stopped, to be honest. I probably just got distracted by doing other things and never got back to it. And I've been wanting to do something similar again for a while. Now that I'm making tutorials again on a more regular schedule, I want to put some of those things into practice to maybe give people a better idea of how all these things fit together. And also just because, I mean, it sounds fun. Let's see. Explaining myself. So I'm going to be using 3D because I am insane and have not used regular 2D GameMaker for many years now. That's apparently like my thing now, is that I just use GameMaker for the opposite reason that most people do. And I'm going to be using GMS 2.3. I'm planning to start putting this series up in July. As you can see by my Windows date and time on the bottom of my screen, it is currently a couple weeks before that. I don't know if 2.3 is going to be officially released before this series goes up. I hope it does, but I don't really know what the plans are. I don't know how many things Yo-Yo Games has to work on before then.
Hey.
I hope it does because I want people to be able to follow along if they want to. But we'll see. What else? So I've written a rough outline of what I want to get done in every video, and if I post one of these a week, I usually post 2 GameMaker videos a week, one on Wednesday-ish, one on Saturday-ish, and I'm thinking this might take up like the Wednesday slot or something like that, and the regular tutorials take up whatever the other day is. This should run until about the end of the year, assuming that nothing goes wrong, and spoiler alert, things are going to go wrong, so I don't really know, I'm not really going to try and predict what's going to happen to this project more than a few weeks in advance. Let's see, anything else I should mention? As usual for the things that I make videos on, the code, GitHub, link description. I may try and work on like a separate branch for every week, so that the state of the project is you can go back to any given point. Although I guess I could just use GitHub's release system for that. That might be a easier idea. Let's see. I think that's all I wanted to mention. So I'm going to make the asset browser a little bit bigger. I'm also going to I'm going to clean this up. Now that this is a proper asset browser, we don't have to use like the scripts folder, the objects folder, the sprites folder, whatever. We can arrange this however we want. There's also I'm also going to be like having a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but an amount of temporary stuff. I've written a rough outline of what I want to do in this notebook here in front of me. And in a couple places I have written down this is temporary. A more robust system will be implemented later, just so that things can get up and running. But to start with, let us add where's script? There are so many resource types now that start with S. There's scripts, there's sprites, there's shaders, there's sounds. I'm just going to call this game. Is that font size big enough? Let's go a little bigger with the font size and maximize the window. So I'm going to be using structs as much as possible. I thought about it, and I don't think it's going to be feasible to have entirely structs running. It should be possible using the same make game trick that the make game script used to insert itself into the layer update. But I don't know if I want to go that far just for the sake of not using objects. Let's see, where's script, sequence, shader, sound, and sprite? So there are 5 resource types that begin with S. I'm going to call this like, I don't even know, help or something. And let's not make that invisible because it does need to be visible. I should give the room its own name. Oh, that was a script. I should give the room its own name. What do I want to call this? I guess rm_test is the convention. I want to make this a singleton, because this is going to be like the game manager class, but I don't know if I want to do that now. I might do that later. Also, let's close that recent Windows tab because just so that there's a little bit more space in the asset browser. Okay, so for now, create and I want to step, and I want to draw, and I may want to draw UI later, but that'll wait. So there's the constructor. I'm going to have a couple methods right off the bat, which are going to be update, which is the step event, and render, which is the draw event. That can go away. I'm going to want a fancy camera. By the way, that needs to be marked as a constructor. I'm going to want a fancy camera. So let's create one of those there. Do I want semicolons after like function declarations? I don't really. That's technically, this is an assignment. This here, the methods are an assignment, so it would be correct to have them, but I don't really care that much. Code style, eh. Let's see, setting up a 3D projection. The camera might as well also have a render method. And this is going to say GPU set Z test enable. We're also going to want to set Z write enable. There's also going to be the matter of setting the camera matrices. And the camera is going to need a position in space. All right. So in the past, I've just said things like x equals 0, y equals 0. Let's get rid of that random L there. Z equals 0. This is one of the things I want to be doing less of now that 2.3 is out. I am going to make myself a vector type. Right now, this is just going to be a vector 3 values, and it's going to have an x, a y, and a z component. Instead of giving the camera x, y, z, x2, y2, z2, and so on and so forth, I'm going to say position equals new vector 3. Let's start it out at 0, 0, 100. Actually, since this is a camera, it would be more like from 2 equals new vector 3. I've said in the past that I like to have the camera looking kind of diagonally across the room as a hello world for a 3D program, and I still do that. And up is going to be, I don't ever foresee the up vector changing, but just so that my code is a little bit neat, we will do that. Now, should I have the camera have its own camera data structure? You know what? No, I don't care. I'm not ever gonna have like more than one of these active at once, I don't think. So I'll just use camera get active because that is the simplest solution. Camera set, what is it? Proj mat, and camera set view mat are the matrix setting functions. Matrix build lookout for the view, that's going to be from.x, from.y, from.z, 2.x, 2.y, 2.z, up.x. You have presumably seen a camera's view matrix before if you've watched my videos. I tend to use them a lot. And the proj mat, that is just cam, is going to be matrix build projection perspective field of view. And that can be field of view Y. I think I usually make that 60 aspect ratio. And I'm gonna want to make the field of view negative, aren't I? But I'll deal with that in a minute. I will unmagic numberify the clipping planes. The default is 32,000 for the far clipping plane. Also, while I'm on the subject, I'll unmagic numberify the field of view. Okay. I think that's all I need to do for that. Camera, apply. Cam. And we are good to go. The room is automatically cleared to a color, right? Yeah, the room is automatically cleared to black. Later I can get rid of that. I have made plans to implement an actual skybox, but that'll come later. That is not on the list of most important things for me to do right now. I'm going to make a sprite or sprites. Like I said, too many S resources. This is another one of those temporary things that I mentioned. Can I set the grid to snap? I'm going to just have like some color scheme that isn't hard on the eyes, like green, light green, and blue or something like that. All right, that's not what I meant when I said grid snap. The rectangle tool for GameMaker sprite editor is gotten off by one error in it, it seems. Let's see. That's gonna be one color, and blue sounds kind of nice. Let's that's less harsh on the eyes than black and white. How do I set the background image? You can tell this is something I don't do very often. A horizontal tile and vertical tile. Okay. Actually, that is a little hard on the eyes. Can I make that a different color? Would orange be less so? Orange and yellow. Let's have a look. I haven't actually run the game yet. Is anything rendering? Okay. The 3D is not. That is because in game okay, so the camera is actually going to do its thing now. New must be a constructor. Did I forget to do that? What about, oh. It was that one. That makes sense. I'm allowing the game to yell at me for that. Okay, you know what? Screw layers. Let's delete the layer. We're doing this myself. That depth is now 0. I am going to... This is just applying the camera settings. It doesn't need to do anything else. I may come back to the camera later. Actually, you know what? Draw, sprite, tiled. That's a function. I always forget that function exists. Will it do what I want? No? Okay. So we can do this the manual way. This would be what, like I times 64, which is the width of the sprite. J times 64, which is the width of the sprite. The height of the sprite, rather. That'll work, right? Is the game rendering? Okay, good. We've got the little issue where it's upside down. Alright, because GameMaker, DirectX, and OpenGL are never in agreement with each other. What was it? Do I have to negate field of view and aspect ratio? Alright, there we go. Now we are right side up. And now we are actually looking the right way. Okay. So hopefully that will negate the weirdness. Should I be like religiously committing? I probably should be, right? All right, taking control over GameMaker's update loop and render loop, more appropriately. Let's see. Let me start crossing stuff off on this list. I need a pen that is not a Sharpie because that's gonna bleed through the pages. Let me. Oh, here's a actual highlighter. Set up the vector types. I set up the camera system. That is not relevant. Camera movement, right, left, forward, back. Okay. So, I think in here, in the update, the camera's going to want to look for input. And camera update is going to involve... Normally I like having a controller, a central controller object, so that I don't have to do like keyboard check press constantly, but that's another thing that I think is a task for another day. It also makes things like key binding easier. I'll save that for later though. To and from though. I guess I'll put this in the middle of the room, in the bottom. 2 is going to be 640, 0. Up is going to stay the same. This should give us a more head-on view instead of a diagonal one. Okay, we're pointing the wrong way. At least I think. Oh, you know why that is? I know why that is. We're, there we go. We're not actually filling the room. This isn't actually the size of the room. It's just an arbitrary grid. And for now, I will say... I'm in the habit, and GameMaker Studio 2 has been out for how many years now, and I really should break the habit of trying to use single quotes for single characters. That is the convention in some other programming languages to differentiate individual characters from string objects. In GMS1 it was the same. They both applied to strings, and it was just a habit from writing code in other languages, but in 2 it is not the same. And you'd think I would have figured that out by now. I will be saying from dot x minus equals... I guess I could delta time this, say like 200 units per second. And that's gonna be delta time in terms of 1 second. Delta time isn't something I've really talked about on this channel. I know a lot of other people have covered it, and I kind of feel like other people will be better at that at explaining that kind of thing than this YouTube channel, but up would be forward and the W key. So y minus equals that value, and down. Oh. Not that I'm expecting to actually use the arrow keys. Did I accidentally delete code? I did. Okay. A, D, W, and S. Okay, so I think that's all my keys. We should be moving now. Alright, and there's what I affectionately like to call the Windows 95 effect, because the background is not being cleared. So to take care of that, we'll do it ourselves, because I deleted the background layer. And alright. I've also written down that I want to be able to tilt the camera up and down. I don't know if I want to do that right now. I'll decide on that later. That will not be the most difficult thing to add in later. Let's commit that change. In addition to all the other things that I am demonstrating in practice here, source control, rather important. So I can get out of the camera. All right, so I've done camera movement aside from tilting up and down, which I'm not sure if I want to do anyway. I've also done drawing the floor. All right, vertex formats are something that I should probably take an interest in. I'm not sure if I'm going to have more than one. This would be something that it would be easy to kind of over-engineer to make a container object for all my vertex formats or something, but I think for now, this is also subject to change. All right, we'll just make one and give it to the game object. What is it? Vertex format begin. It is position. What is it? Add position? Add position 3D. Vertex format. Add normal. I will be doing lighting later. Add text chord. Since I'm not a texture artist and I don't want to go bothering other texture artists for something that's like this, and I think like vertex coloring is fine aesthetically. I'm not planning on using textures for much of anything, but I'll have I'll leave the attribute in there anyway. And color. Vertex format end. Okay. Now that I've done that, I might as well make another like temporary thing and get rid of the draw sprite. So we'll say, oh, right, I can't do that because that is a function name. Vertex buffer create, vertex create buffer, God. Vertex begin. I can never remember these function names off the top of my head. So we will say I don't even know what the size of the room are. What's 1280 divided by 64? Windows calculator to the rescue. That is 20, and 720 divided by 64 may not be a... Alright, so I'll say 20 and 12. I plus plus. And what'll it be? This will be each square. Each square has two triangles, or in other words, 6 vertices. All right, this is gonna take a while. Let me type this out so that I'm not wasting your time. Let me like speed it up or something. Okay, it is complaining about something. Oh, color also needs an alpha value. All right, so these are going to create a grid of squares. Okay. Something else is being complained about. Oh. All right, that does not take a parameter. And I'm not actually drawing the... Yes. I haven't started one yet, didn't I? Oh, that's vertex format end. That would be why. Let's get rid of this. Vertex submit the ground. If I wanted to do it a little bit, no, I wouldn't. I was gonna say maybe I could use a triangle strip, but I don't know the order of points that you would add offhand. And in any case, cutting it down from like 1,000 vertices to maybe like 900 isn't really that great of a savings when 1,000 vertices is nothing to begin with. Sprite get texture sub image 0. Okay, so this is now being drawn via vertex buffer. If you really wanted to, you could use texture repeating to do this in just one square, 6 vertices, but you know, that would have been less time to type out. Considering that I'm going to get rid of this anyway, I should have just done that. Oh well, hindsight. Later on, I will be making like proper level design using things that are not that, but that is not today. Okay. I'm used to not relying on texture repeating to do things, which could be good, I guess. Since that depends on like your textures being what you think they are, but it also can take a little bit of extra time and computer processing to process a couple hundred squares instead of just one. Let's see. That was all I wanted to. That was all I wrote down that I wanted to do in this video, so I guess I'll end it off. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. Hopefully this project will go somewhere. I really want it to. I've written down not every single tutorial that I've made that I want to kind of refer back to show real-world uses for in this series, but a good number of them. Between 3D tricks that I've done, videos on 3D that I've done, and things with object-oriented programming. Oh, you know what? Now that I actually have a game object made, it does make sense to make a singleton for it now, so that other things can just access it. That'll be game in capital letters, and I could just say, what is it? Help.game, I guess. And then I can just refer to the instance of the struct with the macro. And be like, from somewhere else in the code, game.camera or game.format or whatever. Typically when you make real singletons, you would do something to ensure that it exists first. Although I think I'm going to allow myself to not do that. Although let's move this to the top so that it's right there. I think I'm going to allow myself to not do that because I am not ever going to instantiate the game object like anywhere else than the beginning of the game. It's kind of what launches everything in the first place. I could see potential places where that would break, but that's kind of the risk that you accept when you decide to use the singleton design pattern, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. Although I will call it singleton in quotation marks because it's kind of sort of not really. As I was saying, my name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. I make videos on making games. I aim for 2 a week, which probably means 1 of these and 1 tutorial for the foreseeable future. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute, join the fun. There's links to all those usual things in the video description and other places probably. I think I put it on the end screens, right? If I don't, I should. The code for this is in the video description as usual. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Indie Punch and Zenith for supporting these videos. If you want your name in the credits and to get these things a day early and some other fun stuff, head over to the Patreon page in the video description. Join the fun.